Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Taurus. If Taurus is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so, Taurus, we have the Ace of Discs, which is always a pretty good sign, right? Hopefully, usually when I see this, I think, all right, so this is the beginning of some money coming in, right? Some kind of opportunity, a job, a project, kind of maybe like a little side hustle or something. And we're going to have some money coming in, right? Okay, so let's take a look here. I am just trying to figure out where we should have my lighting set here. And this maybe is going to be too dark after all. But we'll go with it. I think that's okay. Maybe one more click over. I tried to hurry up and get my set changed. And when you go from like a light setting, which it was that blue and the pomegranates and stuff, now it's real dark in here. So it's hard to tell what's going to work. So let's go ahead. So if you haven't... if you have not subscribed yet, think about doing that. You can hit that little bell button when you do. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. Also, if you want to like and comment, I'd love to hear from you. All right. So, let's see. We have the number 60 here, 60. We also have what looks like a cat's face here. The eyes, the nose, the mouth, and like this is kind of it looks like a kind of like a, what is it called? Kawaii, I think that's how you say it. Just kind of these really cute, almost anime looking kinds of characters and animals and like a little food that has eyes and a mouth and a smile on it, if you know what I'm talking about. And up here, it looks like we have another cat's head. Okay, here are the eyes, here are the ears, and the side. Now, there's no mouth or anything, but from what I'm looking at here, it almost kind of feels like you have somebody who is just kind of lingering on the outskirts of your life, really watching your every move. Okay, this is somebody who I feel like maybe is a little bit envious, maybe prone to jealousy. Now, they might not always show it, right, outwardly, but you can tell. You can tell. You know what's going on. And I feel like, the deal here, though, is that you're very much alike. And I feel like on your end, you kind of look at this person and you think, oh yeah, like I can really kind of relate to them, identify with them. But for them, they look at you and they think, well, why can't I have everything that they have, right? They have a wonderful spouse or children, or maybe they love your house or they want your job or, whatever it is. But I think for you, you're pretty happy. You've got some stuff going on in your life, right? You maybe, obviously we all want more. We all want to continue to refine our lives as much as we can, right? Or evolve them, or, find a place that we feel comfortable in, right? To create a life that feels like we're living as spiritual beings that happen to have bodies, right? And I think that, for most people who maybe are not initiated, maybe they have not really been long on their interior journey or their spiritual journey or their journey of self-development. But I think oftentimes people look at those who are on a spiritual path, who are doing this kind of work, and it flows over into other parts of your life, and things maybe really start going your way. But for people who are looking, they might think, well, yeah, everything gets handed to you. It's just so easy. You're just you're blessed. There's like nothing behind everything that you have achieved. I don't want to say BS, but it's a lot of work, and you know that, and I know that, right? It's not like being posted up reading some like Harlequin romance novel, which, listen, there's probably some spiritual gems in those kind of books too. But yeah, you're studying, you're working through things, you're trying different things, you are, investing time, energy, money into your practices. And whatever school of thought that might be, whatever system that might be, whatever religion that you are related to, you are, devoted to, that you belong to, that you are participating in, right? It's not easy. It's not. It's a lot of work, but it's worthy work, right? It's work that has to be done. That's why you're here. And so, yeah, sometimes you're going to draw in people who are on the same level. They vibe with you. They know exactly, what you're about. And there's like a mutual respect and all this. But then you're also going to have people who, they don't know what the heck you're doing. They don't understand why your life has changed for the better. They don't know how much blood, sweat, and tears you've put into this work, and they might even be a little crummy about it, right? I think about this as, well, with spiritual work, with people who have devoted their lives to being holy people, really. But we see this in all parts of life, right? It's like, here's one I see a lot, because I've been a stay-at-home parent for the last few years, and I'm finding that, right? I feel like super confident in, like, I'm not worried about telling anybody, yeah, I'm a stay-at-home parent. But there are people who are met with this kind of attitude of, oh, it must be nice. You get to stay home and take care of the kids and put your feet up and whatever. Well, first of all, that's nobody's business, right? What you're doing. But second of all, if you've ever been home with kids, especially if it's multiple kids and they're young, you know that this is not a vacation, And so it kind of holds that same kind of energy. The other thing I think of is I worked briefly in a call center. And I remember most of it was incoming calls, and you were ordering stuff for people and whatever. But the other part was sometimes you had to do cold calling, which is like, yeah, you're just calling. It's the computer's calling people, and you're trying to get in there. Usually they are hanging up within less than a second. But then some people, they'll let you go, read your script and everything. And then it's like, oh, well, why don't you get a real job? Saying that to me, who's working at the call center. Listen, we're not going to get into what a real job really means, but it's just this kind of attitude that some people have, about how other people are living, what they're doing, how they're trying to survive, you know, and ultimately, both you and I know, if you walked in my shoes, if you had ever done this kind of work or been home with the kids or, you know, or have dedicated your life to a spiritual path, you know, it's not easy. It's not just some free ride or, you know, whatever. And so I'm looking at this and I'm feeling like, you know, maybe there is some tiny grain of sand in there, like a little tiny pebble in your shoe, right? Where sometimes this stuff kind of gets to you. It makes you wonder, how do people perceive me? Is this just this one person who is kind of, you know, sour about my life for some reason? Or do most people look at me and think, whoa, what are they doing? You know, they're trying to live this spiritual life. They're doing this self-development. They seem happy. They got money coming in. They seem good with their family and their relationships at home. And, you know, I think it's just kind of, we wonder, right? How do people see us? How do people experience us? And I think, you know, ultimately, you know, I think this is just kind of a real, maybe a one-off, maybe it's just like a rare kind of energy in your life where there is somebody who just, they can't be happy for you. Now, I do feel like you're related to this person, by the way. That's really the energy I get. Maybe like a sister or something like this. Now, we also have a phoenix up here. You can see the wings, you can see the head, you can see the tail kind of hanging down, and you can also see it's like, what is it? Like the flames, the smoke kind of coming off of where they are rising from those ashes. Now we also have a fish. We have a fish and two of them, and this is money. Oh, another one right here. So this is all about money. This is all about like things really kind of flowing towards you doing well in your career, your financials, not just being stable, but I think actually starting to make some decent coin here, right? Some really nice little coins to stack up, to squirrel away, to put, you know, towards the debt, or maybe invest it, or whatever you're gonna do, okay? So that's all over. I mean, that's really the big feeling here, is in this next period of time, you really arriving. That's how I keep thinking of it in my mind. Like, finally, you're, you know, it's almost like you've been talking about it and you've been working towards it, and then maybe you even got to a point where you don't even talk to your family or your friends about it because you've been working so diligently towards your dreams, and then all of a sudden, like, you show up just kind of balling out. Now, if you know what that means, it means just kind of like, you know, you got the new shiny watch and you got the nice clothes, and your car's been upgraded a little bit. And so I feel like definitely coming into a new era of your life financially, okay? So let's also see, I keep looking at this face right here. We have an eye and we have an eye. We have kind of a mouth. And we have the body. It almost looks like the person is like thumbs up. They're doing a little thumbs up right here. We also have a person over here who looks like they have a little hat on. They're holding maybe a carrot, and it looks like they're running. You can even see kind of the line coming off of them. Now we have another person over here, and here's the head and the hand up, and they're running the other way. Running in two different directions. So I want to look at this. We're going to check out the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. I want to see what's going on there. We have 3 people. One almost has like a more youthful, feminine energy to it. This one with the hat kind of gives me almost like the energy of like an elf or something like that. I keep thinking of that show. If you've ever seen it, it's a cartoon. It's called Over the Garden Wall. It's a few years old, maybe 10 years old by now, but it's so good. If you can handle watching like adult, it's geared towards adults, right? It's not like a little kid show. If you can handle cartoons, which, by the way, my husband over at Dove and Serpent Tarot, not that into cartoons. I've tried to get him into some anime, and he's like not having it. So there are people that are just like, nah, I'm an adult, I'm not watching the cartoon. But if you are agreeable or open to, go check out Over the Garden Wall. It's pretty cool, and it's perfect for this time of year in the Northern Hemisphere in autumn. So we're going to see what's going on with these 3 people. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to flip through, I'm going to stop where it feels right. We're going to do 1. So we have authority. 2, excitement. 3, risk. Let's see, can I move these over here? Oh, risk. Now, we're also going to do riches, decision, status. Okay, so this is all about that, it's about that shmoney, about that money, but also work. I think this is very much about either beginning a business, you're part of a business, you're in a, maybe a management position in your work, at the company you work for. But I feel you coming into a place of having to make a decision, right? We have the decision, we have status and authority, okay? We also have excitement, we have risk, and we have riches. And I almost feel like there's a real draw to taking maybe this position of being somebody who is of status, but also of authority. Kind of managing, overseeing administrative stuff. On the other hand, I feel like you also have this draw to taking risks, to making money, right? Big risks, big payouts. And I think that there's really kind of this decision of like, which way are you going to go, right? Now, I worked in the restaurant industry, in the food industry for a long time. I mostly was a waitress, okay? I never took management positions because I don't like overseeing people. I don't like telling people what to do, ultimately. I don't like dealing with people's personalities either because I'm super sensitive and I don't like that kind of conflict. So I never did. But what I do know is oftentimes people would go into management, they would go into salary, and they'd make less money and work longer hours than somebody who is waitressing, if you were a decent waitress or waiter, where you could be making a lot of money on tips. But it's never promised, right? Tip culture is a weird one. So, but I almost kind of feel like it's the situation where, it's like, do I like stay in sales or do I go into management? This is like more of a, for sure, paycheck, right? But your opportunity to make money, sometimes you got to go into those unknown places. So I think that's a decision that maybe is coming up for you. And the excitement, and I think that you are excited when you start to rearrange things in your life. You're going in a different direction. It feels new. It feels novel. And that's where I think that excitement comes from. Now, I think that there's really, and we have those two people kind of running in different directions. And I think that that really indicates to me that these are both aspects of you, okay? Where you're kind of like, do I go this way? Do I go that way? I'm not really sure, okay? But I think it really is, a lot of it's about kind of deciding, what actually fits my personality, what actually fits my lifestyle. Some people really do well when they are in a very set role, right? It's pretty cut and dry. There's very kind of prescribed do's and don'ts and what you're, what you're supposed to be doing. And going into work, this is what my day is going to be like. Or, there's somebody who maybe is very moving around freely in their work, and very much how much money you make is reliant upon the work you're doing and how much time you're putting into it and so on. So, I think this is where you're going to have to make kind of a big decision for yourself. Now, we also have the number 509. And then we have that younger feminine energy. And I keep seeing the E's, large E. So I'm almost wondering if they have an E name. But I think that this person is part of your consideration. And maybe this is your child, maybe your grandchild, or somebody that you work with. But we also have the number 63 here. But I think that this is part of what you're considering about what you're going to be doing next. Now, I just keep seeing, it feels like a lot of crying, but it's not you. A lot of crying, and I'm just gonna kind of close my eyes here for a minute, because I keep feeling like there's like almost like being in a room, like a living room, and you can hear somebody like sobbing in the back room, in the bedroom or something. And it feels like I don't know. It feels like a prison. And I keep thinking, what is this? What is going on here? I'm almost like thinking it's like somebody who raised you, or maybe a sibling, or maybe even a spouse. But I feel like maybe there's like somebody dealing with maybe like really pretty profound clinical depression, major depression, something like this, right? And I almost wonder if you have yourself moments in your life where you've gone through these periods as well. If maybe this is a genetic thing, or maybe it is partially like environmental, something that affected you, kind of being around it growing up. But it does feel like it's something that you've worked really hard, very diligently to try to manage and not succumb to these deep, deep moments of depression. And I almost wonder, I'm trying to figure out, like, why. Maybe there's an anniversary. Or maybe it's the holidays coming soon. But I feel like it's something that almost, it feels complicated because I think it's like you understand what this parent or sibling, spouse, you understand what they go through, what they went through, why they are kind of the way that they are when they're in those depressions. But I also think that there's still like some degree of maybe just even a little bit of resentment, right? Because there must have been kind of this emotional unavailability. And I think that's something that maybe you even feel shameful for, still having just kind of this feeling of why couldn't they just snap out of it? Why couldn't they get on medications or figure it out, or, whatever it is. And I think it makes sense though, right? And I say this as a person who has mental health diagnoses, and major depression being one of them, which is kind of like wrapped into having PTSD. But even so, you know exactly what it feels like. You know what it is like when you can't get out of it, and all of this. And yet you look back at times when you were young, when you felt like, these people or this person, they should be able to figure it out so they can take care of myself and your siblings and all of that. And so I feel like this is kind of a time where maybe there is some work that is happening, right? Like you're processing, you are integrating, and maybe even finding some forgiveness, or at least the ability to let some of it go, right? And I think so often we don't hold these kind of resentments like overtly, but when you really start to think about it and get to talking about it and really exploring it, you realize, yeah, like I feel some type of way still. You might be 45 years old and you're still, can't understand why your grandmother was always crying. Why she was super sweet, and then something would happen and she'd completely isolate herself, or something like this. And it was hard to wrap your head around that when you're young. And even as an adult, you can understand how this happens. But it's hard to really fully get all of it. But I think that this is part of that evolution that you're going through. I think that this is really a time in your life where you are relieving yourself of old beliefs, of conditioning, of, the emotional baggage that you have had to carry around, and we all do. But I think that this is one of those moments where sometimes we have to kind of look over our ordeals, even the things that we didn't think were that big of a deal, right? And years later, you start to go through it and you think, wow, that really affected me much more than I realized, All right, let's do our lucky numbers. All right, so we got 36. Where did it go? Yeah, 36. There we go, 36. Oh, this one went way over here. Can we even see this? It went off of here. I promise I'm not Changing it, it is 40. 36, 40. 87. 87. 36, 40, and 87. Now we're going to do our inner child oracle cards, and these will just kind of punctuate the reading. And so I'm going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. And it says, listen. Number 25, listen. Your inner child has something to say. Your inner child has something to say. All right. And maybe this is why. Maybe this is why we're thinking about this stuff, you know, from childhood, these younger years. Okay, well, Taurus, I want to tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And, yeah, if you want to leave a comment, definitely do it. I love reading them, and I read all of them. So it will not be missed, definitely. So I love you. Take care of yourself. We're going to talk in a few days. Good night.